Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're taking a look at my collection of vintage crossword and puzzle books. Now these are predominantly from Penguin and Pan, and I think they're quite fascinating. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which isn't a Penguin or Pan at all. It's actually published by Hutchinson, and there was a series of hardbacks that came out 1932 to 1936 called A Century Of, published by Hutchinson. And this was almost like a little accompaniment to the series. It actually mentions about the enormous popularity of Hutchinson's Century omnibuses. Has shown that people appreciating quality and value for money. So this is a normal sixpence paperback, and I suspect that this one dates from about 1936, and it is puzzles and, as you can see, crossword puzzles as well. So this is, I think, the earliest crossword or book that contains crosswords or puzzles that I actually own in my vintage paperback collection. Crossword puzzles themselves sort of got really popular in the 1920s and were introduced the decade before that. But for me, as a paperback collector, these are the this exact one is my sort of earliest introduction to it. It then goes on to Penguin books. So this is the Penguin Problems book. This is Penguin Main Series 260. And what Penguin tended to do, they're more known for their famous colours like green for crime, orange for fiction, red for plays. Yellow was sort of puzzles, crossword puzzles, miscellaneous titles. There's an early one on snooker and billiards, for example, which is in yellow. Miscellaneous stuff that doesn't quite fit into the regular series. So this is it's Penguin Problems, so it's a mixture of stuff. So it's it's just puzzles and crossword puzzles across the board. Lots of different things. 1940, this particular one. Then we got the first proper Penguin crossword puzzle book, which is by Morley Adams. And this is Penguin 280. Now, I wanted to find out, shall we say, a little bit more about this name, Morley Adams, and a couple of the other sort of regular names that you see on these crossword puzzle books. I couldn't find a lot, but what I did find, I found quite interesting. So I'll just read what I found online. So it said, Morley Adams Limited was a company that produced newspaper puzzles and quizzes. Its founder was Morley Pushkin Adams, born in Ipswich, Suffolk in 1876. A prolific writer of non-fiction books about natural history, hobbies, recreations and games, Adams was probably best remembered for being instrumental in popularising the crossword puzzle in Britain after they were introduced by Arthur Wynne, a Liverpool man who emigrated to the United States around 1905 and compiled the first word cross puzzle for the New York World in December 1913. The crossword puzzle was all the rage in the 1920s, and apart from writing his puzzle books, Adams also set up Morley Adams Limited, a newspaper feature service to provide crossword puzzles and puzzle features. Adams also devised radio games such as Puzzle Corner, Ask It Basket, and Limerick Race for the BBC. So there you go. So a little bit about Morley Adams. There's not a lot online about this chap, and this is the first, as I said, typical Penguin crossword book. Now what you find, and we'll have a look and see if this one's actually the case, most of my crossword books, and when you come across them, the first 2 or 3 crossword puzzles have been attempted, and then for whatever reason people tend to give up. This one's actually not bad. I think there's a little bit there that's possibly been rubbed out. Beyond that, it's actually a really quite nice copy of that one. So that's Penguin number 280, and I do want you to see a bit of the spine art here, so I'll put them just in the corner. So then we've got one which is specifically crossword puzzles from the Times newspaper. This is Penguin 295. Now all these crossword puzzle books start to become super scarce after the outbreak of the Second World War. It's as simple as that. But they were really popular, so people wanted to buy them, but they were becoming harder and harder to produce, along with all books around that sort of time. So that's also from 1940. Then we've got the second Penguin crossword puzzle book, which is number 349. So a bit more time has gone, and the paper is getting more affected by wartime paper rationing. And this is a bit more typical. This is 1941, a bit more typical to the crossword puzzle books, in that the first few have been attempted, I generally just leave them as is. I don't tend to go in and try and tidy up a crossword puzzle book, just because, well, I think it's a bit too much work, and I'd rather leave it as is, in all honesty. So this is a very scarce one, number 358. It's the Daily Telegraph crossword puzzle book, and you can see now the paper's got incredibly thin compared to the earlier ones. But obviously, crossword puzzles just from the Daily Telegraph. Now here's an interesting one. Not crossword puzzles, but Walter Shepherd, for amazement only, and you'll see why, because it is mazes, a book of mazes, if you can believe it, printed on incredibly thin wartime paper. You can see right through it. You can see that it's just almost like newspaper print in effect. Very scarce to find these books in high grade. Not super collectible. This one isn't mega money, but I would say it's one that's hard to find untouched, which my one pretty much is. Let's have a look at the date. Are we into 1942 yet? Yeah, 1942. So we're almost at the height of the Blitz, really. 1942, 1943, 1944. So once again, another very thin one here, the second Times crossword puzzle book. And on the Penguin main series, I'm now actually down to just one. But when I was down to 4 left, one of those was indeed a crossword puzzle book. Here's another one here, very scarce. A couple of turned over pages, which I'll get at a later date. But super thin little volumes. Here's one compiled from the Manchester Guardian. This is Penguin 435 in their main series. Once again, incredibly thin and delicate. 1943 now, and things don't really get any better paper-wise until 1945. Third Penguin crossword puzzle, but this is the one. So this was the 4th last Penguin I needed to get the first 1,000 Penguins complete in first edition. This is a Penguin 460. Very scarce period in Penguin history, and managed to get this one off another collector who was having a sort out, and he came across it, so I was over the moon with that one. And yeah, very cool indeed. Another scarce-ish one, a second Penguin Problems, but not as scarce as the crosswords, and this has got a mixture of puzzles in, as you can see, but still late wartime paper rationing. And then post-war, finally we got number 540, so the war is now behind us, but still things aren't back to the way they were. And this is what, 1946 now. So it's still not quite back to the way it was before war, but as you can see, if you look at those early ones, they're very thin spined books, and they're all just supremely scarce. So any of those yellow penguins there under the number 500 of the main series are well worth seeing in any condition, because lots and lots of collectors are looking for them. Now around this sort of time, Penguin did publish, or start to publish, another series of Ptarmigan, or the T style, the Ptarmigan books, and these are puzzle books, and a lot of these are penned, in fact possibly the whole series, by Hubert Phillips, another quite eminent name in the world of sort of puzzles and crosswords and things like that. So let's just have a little look through this first one. This is 1945. In fact, this is actually a reprint, I noticed when I had a look through. It was published in July 45, but this is the one from 1946. And a little bit about Hubert Phillips, because I did look him up. So he was around between 1891 and 1964. He was a British economist, journalist, broadcaster, bridge player and organiser, composer of puzzles and quizzes, and the author of some 70 books. He served in the British Army with the Essex Regiment throughout World War I. Phillips's later career was as a journalist, broadcaster, freelance author and organiser. I don't know how you become an organiser, but Phillips was the founder and editor of the British Bridge World and a pioneer of the bridge organisation in England. As an author, the greater part of his income he wrote on bridge and on general knowledge, intellectual, mathematical and bridge puzzles and quizzes. Chess, he said, was his favourite game, but he wrote little on that subject. He wrote over 100 crime stories. He composed thousands of puzzles, both mathematical and inferential, and about 6,000 crosswords. He wrote on bridge for the News Chronicler's 9 spot, as well as being, by his own testimony, the chief leader writer for the paper for several years during World War II. He also contributed to The Nation, The New Statesman as Caliban. He broadcast regularly on BBC Radio, on Transatlantic Quiz and its offshoot Round Britain Quiz, and later on occasion, the Brains Trust. In his heyday, he earned a 5-figure income, but in later years, a fondness for drink and gaming led to a decline in his fortunes. Well, would you believe it? So that is Hubert Phillips, and Penguin collectors will recognise his name on these Ptarmigan books. And we'll go through these. So I pulled these out as a separate little piece. So here we are, how to play bridge. So I'm also, that's with Terence Rees. Wordplay. All sort of puzzle books. Evident they were super popular post-war. Then a slight change in design. It's number 5. Who wrote that? And then there's a reprint of number 5, which came later. See when this reprint was. Oh, that actually says 1948. Let's see this one. Maybe it was just a new jacket got slapped on it. You also 94. I think that's just a rejacketed one of the same first edition. Maybe just to update it. Penguin would be doing that now and again. Chitwinkle. These are all Ptarmigans, predominantly. Chitwinkle at the father of the crossword. Triplets. Not sure what that one is. Another sort of style of puzzle, no doubt. Playtime. A nice colourful little series. These really cheap to get. I haven't bought any from dealers. I've found all of these in the wild, and that was in the end the whole set. To test your knowledge. Just a general quiz book by the look of it. And the last one, which is Ptarmigan. Oh, actually, that is it for the Ptarmigan. So that's cool. So that's like a little series in itself. Then we'll go back to the post-war Penguin crossword puzzle books. This is the Daily Telegraph second crossword puzzle book, which is number 620. And these are quite standard now. Now, it's funny, price-wise, the early crossword puzzle books, you sometimes see them as much as £100 each, which I think is very expensive. You see these later ones, post-war ones, well, I've seen them as high as £95, but in general, the going rate sort of online seems to be sort of in the £20 to £25 mark, which I still think is high for post-war. I think more like 10 to 15 is about right. Here's at 620. This is the Times third crossword puzzle book. Manchester Guardian second crossword puzzle book, 643. The Observer crossword puzzle book, 644. They were evidently selling at the rate that Penguin were pumping these out in 1948. And these are all Penguin paperback originals, in effect. They're not reprints. This is one which isn't a crossword puzzle book, but it's a more traditional Penguin crime title in their familiar green livery here. Crossword Mystery, E.R. Pushnon. And this one is a crime story revolving around a crossword puzzle. And the actual puzzle itself, if I can find it, there we are, is actually included in here. So you get to have a stab at it. So if you're trying to pick up a copy of this, make sure your copy of this puzzle has not been completed. And that's Penguin 663. And this first printing of this one, which is a little bit of fun. 1948. There you go. So a little related item that you might want to keep an eye out for. Right, carrying on then, we got a problem a day. So not a puzzle book this time. It is a puzzle book. Problem puzzles. One for every day of the year, basically. 1952 now. That was number 866. 7. Oh, that was actually quite out of order, so we'll leave that there. I was going to say that was quite a jump. This is 774, the Times fourth crossword puzzle book. A few been attempted there. 774, that's 775 here. 100 crossword puzzles from the Daily Telegraph. Quite a few of those have been done. That's probably the most complete one I've actually seen. 810, Manchester Guardian, 3rd crossword puzzle book. There we are. Thank goodness they give you the solutions, eh? So I suppose, you know, mint unused ones would be at a premium with a puzzle book, and historically with any vintage publisher or publisher that's been around a long time, the crossword books tend to be the most expensive ones. So this one goes in there. Now this one here was sent to me recently, and in fact a couple of my puzzle books have come from a prominent crossword puzzle expert, you could say, my friend Ian Simpson. Now Ian keeps a very lively Twitter feed, in actual fact, which I'll pop up on the screen now, and he was the co-inventor of Square Roots, which is a word puzzle that appears in the Times each Saturday, no less. And Ian collects old puzzle and crossword books in particular, and his Twitter feed is literally phenomenal, and he's got incredible and really interesting puzzle books up there. Mine's very much one-sided with the world of vintage paperbacks, but there's so many other great sort of puzzle books and games and things like that. And if you check out Ian's Twitter feed, you will be definitely entertained. And thanks for grabbing me that one at short notice as well, Ian. And we got the Spectator, this is Penguin 940. That one's actually in pretty nice shape, that one. That's all right. Then 945, 100 crossword puzzles from the Daily Telegraph. And traditionally where it says Penguin, they've now got the crossword puzzle filled in. And Penguin kept this format going for quite a while, you know, right into the mid to late 50s, and then they started getting a bit more lively on the covers. Then you got the Manchester Guardian 4th crossword puzzle book. This is number 951. Now this one is dated 1953, and it was around this time that Penguin competitor, I'll just move those back, Pan Books got in on the act. And Pan Books, well, there is the very first one. So that's the Pan Book of Crossword Puzzles. It's compiled by L.W. Burgess. Now, I did also try and find out a little bit about L.W. Burgess. Didn't have any luck with this particular author online, so I don't really know. So if anyone wants to pop a bit of info about Burgess in the comments down below, that would be great. But here's the first Pan Book of crosswords. Much harder to find in first printings. That one actually is a first print, but on the whole, I don't really mind so much. I'd just like to get a copy of each. So that's the third one there, and they use the Pan emblem, which they used to use on the Pan record magazine quite a bit. So there he is, sat down on his rocking chair doing a puzzle. There's the third one, so I haven't got all of these by any means. I'm still looking for some of these Pan ones. There's the fourth one. And they're all by Burgess here. The fifth book of challenging crossword puzzles. See, look, this is a reprint. First published 1962. It's on its sixth printing in 2 years, so it's being reprinted every 6 months. That gives you an idea just how popular these really were, doesn't it? Now this is interesting. So panagrams, I really like this. This is once again a Pan original. 1,000 fascinating new puzzles to test your word power. Here we are, thankfully with answers again. It's half filled in by the look of it. Typical of these sorts of things, but still quite fun. Panagrams. Second Pan quiz book. Really nice. Nice colourful cover on that one. Quiz book there. Right, I think we need to make a tiny bit more room. Now we're on to the Pan Junior puzzle book, and they did junior crossword puzzle books as well. Once again, some of those are very hard seemingly to get hold of today. This is from 1965. In fact, my friend Tim, who runs the ticket.net vintage Pan collector's website, is after the third junior crossword puzzle book. So if you come across that one, do please drop me a line. It's one he still needs. Here's a book 12 of the regular Pan books of crosswords, and this is the final one I've got in my collection, X720, because I tend to collect only up to about 1970 with Pan, and this is published in 1967. So a nice copy of that, except someone started putting some letters in on the front jacket, which, well, how dare they, you know. Then we're back to the last few penguin ones, which is the Time and Tide crossword puzzle book. We've got Can You Tell Me? Another sort of quiz book here. Questions, quiz selection of 500 questions. Another 100 crossword puzzle from the Scotsman this time. This is 1046, the Observer third crossword puzzle book, using the crossword inside the penguin, sort of traditionally where the Penguin Books logo would be. And then my last one for this video is the Daily Telegraph fifth crossword puzzle book. This is Penguin 1098. And my collection after post 1000 is a little bit patchy. I'm still actively sort of collecting those, and that's from 1955, which is, I think, quite a nice place to leave it. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that whistle-stop tour through my Penguin and Pan vintage crossword and puzzle books. I think they're really, really fascinating to collect. They're not easy to collect. These are quite tough, and when you do find copies, they're generally not in the greatest of conditions, so quite challenging all round, really. Thanks once again to Ian for helping me out at the last minute, and do indeed check out his Twitter feed. It's very, very entertaining. Thank you for watching it today. If you've enjoyed the video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button for regular vintage paperback content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.